and welcome back to Derailed. This is Season 1, Episode 17. My name is Gregory, and as always, I'm joined by Harrison and Adash.
Yo, what the fuck?
What's up, boys?
Hey, yo, what's up with this music?
Greg never tells us when he does shit like this, so we learn about it as he does it, and we always do the intros one take, so I was just not prepared for that.
Bro, what the fuck?
Felt like I was in the intro to God of War there. What the hell?
Yeah,
did you hear the beginning of it?
No?
Not really.
All right, let me play it again. Listen for the words.
Okay. I actually can't make it out.
I don't know what he's saying.
Something
Egg
own?
sword?
What?
It's just Harrison. It's literally just Harrison over and over again. This is the thing I was talking about. Like right before we left for Vancouver, I just got this stuck in my head. So it's just been looping in my head nonstop until yesterday. I was like,
Wait,
you know what? I'm
is
just gonna
this-
fucking put this down.
You didn't pay someone for this, right?
No,
You just
that
found
was
this.
me singing.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
just,
okay.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
How did you not know that was Greg?
Oh, no, I figured. I was just really hoping.
Oh,
so wait, Greg, why do you have that?
Well, I don't know.
He's an artist. It came to
Well,
his head and
look.
he had to paint it.
Okay.
Sometimes art is like boogers. It gets stuck in there and then it doesn't feel comfortable until you pick it and get it out of there. So
Well, what was that like famous sculptor quote? It's like, I saw an angel in the stone and I carved till I set it free. That's like some Renaissance dude.
yeah. All right. Anyway, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing all right. I
Yes.
love
I don't wanna-
being asked this
wait,
question because it's basically just long form 2 truths and a lie.
Well, this isn't supposed to be the long form part yet. This is the how are you guys doing before the how are you guys doing.
What do you mean?
Our format is weird, okay? We're going to fix it in season 2. All right. Today it is Harry's turn to choose the topic. What's the topic, Harry?
So we actually touched base on these in the last podcast. And this is actually somewhat inspired. No. We kind of like touched some of the ideas briefly.
Do you mean episode 15 or 16?
16. 16.
16.
Okay.
So there, I guess once again, you got some options. So the first one I originally came up with, and the second one I came up with actually towards the end of it. The first one was sharing our current like hobbies and like projects and future like hobbies and projects that we want to take on and possibly do.
Oh.
I like this one.
And the thing, it was also like to kind of like how to say it, as like a time capsule of like, you know, down the line we can think back up on these and see how many we actually did and you know,
This
what
actually
we
basically
ended up accomplishing.
I had
This
this
is
as a
great.
topic
I love
idea
this
myself.
one.
I
Yeah.
was gonna be like, what do you want to, or what hobbies are you planning to do? But
Yeah,
we could
it was
discuss
like
present
yeah.
too. So.
And like plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like current like kind of like plans and things you want to do. And then it was the second one was actually at the very end we touched it. It was we redoing another letter. Like either we wanted to write a letter to ourselves and then sharing that and seeing. Once again, another kind of time capsule style. But
So like write a letter and then read it out on the podcast and then come back to this episode.
yeah,
in the future?
eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's like maybe set a reminder like 4 years or like a year down the line or so. Depending how long we want to do, maybe 2-3 years, and like we would.
Yeah.
If we're still doing a podcast, so we can look back and maybe see what's changed, what we predicted, or the things, you know, we put hopeful wishes if we either accomplish it, didn't accomplish it, or what happened.
Okay. So are these two different ideas or do you want to do both of them?
They're two different ideas because I don't think we would have time to both read out.
That would be a too hard.
Read out and discuss,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
true,
also
that's true.
discuss our hobbies and stuff.
This one's hard because I like both of them.
I like
feel like we
both,
should
too. We
eventually
should just do both.
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just gotta pick one to do for now.
This time and then maybe next
Actually,
time. It rolls around
so based
to
on the
your prompt,
timing,
unless you-
I'm gonna have the episode 20, and
Oh, yeah.
if we
So
want
could,
to-
Oh, letter would be good.
Yeah.
letter would be
Finish
good
it
for
because
20.
I guess spoiler, we're planning to finish this season, quote unquote, with 20
I
episodes.
think we talked about that.
Yeah, with 20
Yeah.
episodes, and then we'll come.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we might take a break and then come back with.
We'll
a little
take
bit
like a
refresh.
1 week break,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah,
And
so
I
that
think we're
we
going to
can,
refresh some small
change
things
some
and then come in. So I think maybe to end it all off, we'll write a letter to
that's a
our
good
future
idea.
selves.
Yeah.
And
That's a
Okay.
perfect.
So this time,
Cap it off.
yeah, I think that's a really good one. Yeah, we can check like one of the other season finale, or no, one of the season intros, like one of the later.
yeah,
like,
we'll
late
look
episodes.
into
facts.
That can be the opener.
Yeah, yeah,
that'll be
that's
good.
actually
Season
pretty good.
8. We're like 30.
Season 8, that's 160 episodes or 140 from then, which
Yeah.
is 140 weeks. How many years is that? It's like
140 weeks.
almost
That's only
3
3
years.
3 years.
Yeah, almost 3 years.
It's actually
I-
not too bad.
I think 1 year might be too short, honestly.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
So
I
it
think
actually
at
would be
least
season 8.
2. Yeah, at least 2.
I
at
say-
most,
I say-
maybe 4.
Yeah, I say longer than 3 actually. I believe in the longevity of our podcast.
It depends. No, it's not even that. It's just, it depends. Like, if we keep coming up with banger ideas for season intros, then it doesn't matter. But if we don't,
That's true. Yeah,
we always have
it'll be the
this.
filler one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think
Anyway,
let's aim to talk to our 4-year future self.
yeah.
For that one, and then for this one, we'll do.
Yeah. So just projects and current projects.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
hobbies.
Yeah, and then future or planned ones for the near future.
Yeah, I'm mostly only gonna have future. I'm not gonna hold. But
Yeah. That's fine. Okay. Cool. Okay. Now, how are you guys doing?
Oh, well, I'm chilling. I'm being chilling.
Are you having?
you know, the worst part is
still
every time
having-
anyone says chilling, like my mind immediately says that phrase, and I hate it.
Well, you go being chilling.
If you don't get that meme, search Bing chilling on YouTube and you'll find it. It's a John Cena thing. But I was gonna say, what was I gonna say actually? Fuck, Harry, stop fucking Bing chilling.
Get fucked, idiot. Get fucked.
I procrastinated this topic because I thought I would be able to list all of these things off the top of my head, and
Oh yeah, I did
I
the same
kind of
thing,
did.
and I did.
but there were
I'm built
less
different.
things than I thought. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, are you still having physical issues, Harry, or are those past now?
Bro,
I think
okay, go on.
I think they stopped happening last Thursday or Friday. Is when the leg pain stopped occurring.
Okay,
noticed
and the
it stopped
redness.
Yeah, the eye. I think that was the more concerning.
that's
thing.
Oh, the
Thursday.
retinas? I think it's fine now.
I think he's lying to us.
Yeah, I don't know about that answer.
I think I had one other day where halfway through the day it started phasing out, but then towards the end of the night it went back to normal. But the past couple, like last 3 days, were fine. I think it was either Saturday or Sunday where, like, in the middle of the day things got a little fuzzy, but then towards the end of the day it was fine.
Yeah, we didn't mention this in a previous podcast, but yeah, basically Harry's dying and not doing anything about it as usual. But it seemed worse this time.
That is the Harrison way.
Yeah,
That
no,
is the
I just
Harrison
I'll
way,
just
yeah.
casually drop things like, something's hurting or my vision's going out or something, and they just
Yeah,
and then
it's like
next you know,
occasionally what Harry's like, oh, by the way, I just felt a sharp pain in my rib cage. It's like, oh, that's a hashtag Harry moment. But like at one point he on the group chat put something like, oh yeah, my eyes are just blurry now, and me and Greg
Yeah,
were
that
like, that's
one-
not fucking normal, Harrison, you dumbass. That's not
Yeah,
normal.
I was like, leg pains and back pains. It's like that is. I wouldn't say it's normal necessarily, but like, you could say
Not
like, oh,
concerning.
that's just getting old.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, eyes going randomly blurry. That's a little more concerning, I think.
yeah, that one was weird because it lasted about the whole day.
I don't know how you don't freak
that
out
day.
about these things, because if my eyes were blurry for like 2 hours, I'd be fucking panicked. I'd be like, am I stuck like
Well,
this? Is life over?
It's because it wasn't the first time it happened, so
Oh
I was just
my
like,
fucking
most
God.
likely the next day I'll be fine. It's like,
Did you
it maybe
react that way
happened
the
2 or
first
3
time?
times. No, the first time I think it was just bothering me. I kept rubbing my eyes, and I was just like, fine, it was just gonna be blurry. It'll be blurry, and I just left it. And then the next day it stopped being blurry. I was like, okay, we're chilling then. Or
Speaking
being
of
chilling.
eyes, okay. You need to halt. Speaking of eyes, this isn't nearly as bad as Harry's thing, but I have had this thing recently, and it's very come and go and very like rare. But it does happen, and it's always annoying when it happens, where sometimes like my eyes will just start hurting. Like it's like a sharp pain, and then they just start watering like crazy. Like I just start like bawling. Not like actual cry, but like liquid just starts like
Balling.
out of my okay, not like that, but it starts coming out of my eye, and I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? And then I rub it, and then it hurts more, and I'm like, please stop. And it usually passes after like 10 minutes, but it's annoying. It happens sometimes.
How is the only guy here with an eye surgery have less fucked up eyes?
Because you had eye surgery.
That's true, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my eyes have always been fucked up.
And
my eyes be wild, yo.
actually, I think my eyes are surprisingly okay. Because my mom's eyes.
Okay.
Okay, my vision wise, because my mom's like glasses are like just as thick as yours, Greg, if not a little thicker.
Yeah. Wow, that's
For
crazy.
context, Greg wears a telephoto lens on his face. So.
No, it's hilarious because my lens literally, like, they're already thick. Like, they're like, wait, let me see. I would say they're at least like 7 or 8 millimeters.
Jesus.
Would you say that's about right? They're
So
they're
thick.
like they're really thick, but I might be underestimating how large a millimeter. It might be like 5, but they're thick. But the funniest part about it is they're made out of like a special type of lens. Because if they were like normal plastic lenses, they would be like 3 inches thick.
Oh my god.
So the lens that they're made out of, if you
God
actually look at my
damn.
glasses from the side, you can see like weird like patterns on the inside
This is
because
for
it's like a special type of
or
lens.
farsightedness, right?
Is that the one where you can't see things far
yeah,
away?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That is the one.
So
I guess.
basically, in order for Greg to see across a room, he needs what is the equivalent of a telescope that can see the
I just
craters
wear
on the moon.
binoculars, but my glasses are just binoculars.
Yeah.
I find it really funny too because they have like the inverse effect of the zoom in thing. So like people who look at my eyes appear quite a bit smaller than they actually are. Like if I take my glasses
And
off,
you're
my eyes
Asian
suddenly
too,
just
so
enlarge.
imagine.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So
Just been double debuffed.
exactly. But yeah, these I've had to go like a day without my glasses. I think like one of the lenses got like broken or something, and I remember it was just so bad. Like I just couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't use my computer because I'd have to be so close that I'd literally have to like move my head around like a mouse to like see that part of the screen. And I was like, at that point, it's just not worth it.
I'm just surrounded by people that like just have terrible vision. I really think about this sometimes, and I'm like, damn, Harry is like so good at like so many things, but he would have just been beat without the development of optometry. But like Greg is just
Optometry.
the study of like lenses and stuff.
Eyes, yeah, like glasses. Yeah.
My eyesight's not that bad.
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, like he would have struggled, but like Greg would actually just be incapable. Like he's just
Yes, that is true. To be fair, I think like a lot of what makes our eyes worse is just like the immense amount of reading we did when we were younger, and I think like that was facilitated because we just kept upgrading glasses whenever it got worse. So it probably wouldn't have been as bad because at some point I'd just be like, oh, I guess I just can't read now. Yeah. That, and then also I'm in the music field, so don't need eyes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's much easier to play violin blind than it is deaf. Like you can absolutely become a blind violinist pretty easily, but becoming a deaf violinist is like pretty much impossible because we work purely based off the combination of sound and texture, tactile. So, all right, well, I guess we can get into the topic then.
Oh yeah, so this topic we're going to be talking about.
Wait. Just kidding. Go ahead. Yeah, no, I'm trying to ruin his flow a little bit.
No, you did. Fuck you. It's mainly
that's
we'll talk about. I guess we'll go over. Let's do current projects, and then past. Should we just do past, present, and future?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll do past.
The
present,
ghost
and
of
future.
Christmas past.
Yeah, the boast of Christmas past. That's I don't know why I said that.
I regret interrupting, Harry. Now we're all suffering for my sins.
Yeah, that's your coast of Christmas pass.
You didn't even keep the alliteration. That one was just okay.
I don't know. I'm not analyzing the words, bro. I'm not a fucking English major.
Yeah,
so yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll do past projects.
please not me first. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, I think me and Harry kind of have to co-op our.
Yeah, I
past
was gonna say,
project
Greg,
section.
if you want to start off, because you most of yours is a good amount of yours is probably like a joint effort of yours and mine, and then
Yeah.
I'll see if there's any like small ones that I have
Things
on
you
my
can
own.
add. I didn't list out the specific projects we did. I just put like the old skits
I
that we
think we
did.
have too
but
many.
just to name a few, I'm trying to like just to remember. So I remember they were all so stupid. Like I went back to my email and like looked at some of the scripting, and some of it's interesting. But yeah, I mean that's on me. Like Harry was always the improv guy. I was always the one who scripted shit, and then the script was always dumb. But so I remember I think our first project ever. I don't even remember what it was, but all I remember from that first project is you wearing that red Chinese shirt thing, like with all the designs on it, and putting a pillow under it, and then just going like.
It was like
that was just the entire project.
Yeah. So like it was some weird training boot camp thing we were trying to do. We were trying to do like some sort of training montage.
Right.
So
yeah,
I was
you
fat,
start out as like
and then you threw me.
that's why we put the
You
pillow.
threw me into the bathroom and made me scream and yell or some shit. Scared me. And you like
Wait.
shocked me into getting fit, and I came out of the bathroom. I remember like doing.
This is the
push-ups and
plot
shit.
of the movie, by the way. This isn't.
And
like
then
us.
and Greg was just like, "Oh, finally, the work's paying off or some shit." And, we lost the pillow, so it looked like I lost weight,
Greg-
quote unquote.
Is this-
Harry,
it was-
I think Greg just unwittingly made you a part of his fetish. You just didn't know.
Wait, what part?
Yeah, little have you known for all these years, it wasn't skits. You were just playing out my sexual fantasies.
Bro, we were like 13.
We were both 13, so that makes it okay.
Does it? Does it
Kinda.
really? Kind of.
Was that the one where we did like the really silly like martial art thing where we just like freestyled
I think
in
that
front
was
of the camera?
after it.
Okay, that one was after it. Yeah. A lot of our early skits, and not even just early skits, just like the whole theme of all of our skits was mostly fighting because we wanted to do fight choreography. So it's like we did so much like attempts at fight choreography, and the vast majority of them failed because I think the problem was I kept trying to find like little tricks to make the fight choreography look better instead of just actually making the design, like the choreography itself, look good. Like we just actually didn't like make contact and like make our moves fast and
Yeah.
clean. Like it was instead we just tried to do dumb tricks where it was like, all right, I'm gonna throw you off the bed in one clip, and then the next clip is gonna start with you jumping off the bed, and it's gonna look like I threw you off the bed. And then like,
Yeah.
and then in post we were like, oh my god, this does not look right at all.
I remember what's it called? Some of the early stuff we did that was when you introduced showboating to me.
Yeah, I
That's all
remember
the
that was
shit we would do.
that was the dumb like fight choreo, like where we just like punched.
Yeah,
the
threw
air.
our arms around and made
Yeah.
like went really fast, and it looked.
I don't know if those clips exist anymore. But
I don't
they
want
were,
to.
They were interesting.
Oh.
And then we started the whole Cheese Bros thing on Halloween. I remember after we
Yeah.
went trick or treating, we came back, and I guess we were just high on candy and sugar or some shit. But we decided to do this recording of us, and then we like sped it up so that our voice would be higher
Chipmunk
pitched.
voice,
And I remember we
yeah.
were so proud of that. We like showed that to everyone, and I don't know, like people humored us, but I don't know why because it was so stupid. But it was just us saying dumb shit like with the chipmunk voices.
Yeah, we
But
thought
to
it
be
was
fair-
so funny.
I feel like that's not just us. I feel like in the old days, like everyone used to fuck around with iMovie and like the speeds to like make themselves look and sound weird. So I think that was more of just a normal little kid thing, but it was pretty silly. I don't think we really filmed. I remember we made a whole big deal out of that film. With it was called like The Will of Stone or something. But
Yeah,
it was the whole
you're-
thing where it was like the bow, and it started with
Yeah.
like me shooting. Was it me shooting or you shooting? One of us shooting at the other person from like the porch at nighttime.
And they caught the arrow or some shit.
And they caught the arrow. Oh my god. And I was trying to guess how we filmed that, of like someone shooting at the other person and the other person catching the arrow. How would two 13-year-olds create that scene?
Okay, well, I mean, in my head, you shoot the arrow like towards the camera in the first scene, and then in the second scene, you just throw the arrow, and then somebody catches the arrow.
Yeah, that's pretty close. I mean, we didn't shoot the arrow at the camera because we weren't that stupid. Yeah. we shot it from a side angle. But it was like the person was off the screen, and then so we shoot it, and then it goes out of frame, and then in the next frame, did we throw and catch it, or did we just reverse someone throwing the arrow? I forget.
I don't remember if we. I think we might have reversed it because I.
But yeah, I remember the
throwing.
Reversing would be hilarious, actually.
We did so much reverse effects. There's more in that vein, but I remember it didn't work because it was nighttime, so there was no lighting, so you couldn't even see the person catching the arrow. You just saw a vague image of a character just like moving. That's so like funny. It didn't come across at all. Yeah, it was weird. And then we also did like a photo shoot with one of my classmates, I remember, for that also film. Nick, I remember that. That was fun, but we never used it. we never did. Because the filming didn't work out too well. Because like the lighting wasn't working, and there was like the place we went to record it. It was the Windjammer Beach area. Anyway, so that project kind of fell apart. There were a lot. So I remember the Naruto one. Now that one, it didn't film very well. Like we have no cinematography or pacing experience. But I recall that one being one of the more fun and like more conclusive projects we filmed.
We actually did a bunch of filming for that. We did the fight scene and we did the little story.
That was when we had when we were both going to Peaceful Dragon for martial arts training. Yeah. So we had like costumes and stuff that could look a little bit better. And also I remember we did like a training scene and we had like the cinder blocks in the beanbag. We were like punching. That was fun. So there was that, and then that was like when we first started like trying to upscale things a little bit in terms of like filming things in a more cohesive way and with like sound effects and stuff.
But when you're a 2-man film crew, there's only so much you can film.
And when we have no camera experience, or specifically me, because I was usually the one on the camera, like with no camera experience whatsoever. So it's just shaky cam and not like cool cinematography like angles, but just like straightforward vlog shot basically. I think the first time that we like really took something seriously and made something that we were kind of proud of in terms of like not being like a silly skit was probably that thing that my friends from school that I introduced to you, the twins, they came to us with a project that they wanted to do for one of their school projects. And they requested our help with it because they knew we made skits. I don't know why they went to us for help, because they'd seen our skits and our skits were interesting. But anyway, so they came to us for help for that. Yeah, and this is actually when I was at military academy. I remember. So this was my buzz cut, and I had like
because you wore like the military outfit.
The military uniform, for the shots, And that we called that one honeysuckle, I remember. But that one was actually because of the way that their project had to go, we had to like constantly switch the music like every 10 seconds. So that part felt a little bit disjointed. But that was just because it was part of the project. But I was actually pretty happy with how we filmed that.
That one was actually like it was out of our realm.
Worked. Pacing worked. And like there were a few jokes that worked pretty well. We portrayed the idea well. I think that's always been our issue, is like we have an idea we want to portray and we never portray it to the audience. We just like
but that one we actually got the message across.
That's the main thing, is that we actually got the message across, and we were like, oh shit. And there were some angles that actually looked pretty nice too, so we started to get a little bit better, because
I think that basically we had to like show the 7 stages of grief or some shit like that, or whatever. And so it was. It was some weird
Harry
ass shit.
Preparing food, getting ready to eat food, and then.
So if I recall, the plot was it Sonia or Tanya? One of them was like, who was it? one of them was like in a relationship with me, I think.
Yeah.
And then
you're in
we
the
like
military,
break
so you
up
dipped.
because I have to leave. Yeah. I remember like the way we showed that was so funny because we made it as flippant as possible. Like I was just like, I'm out. I just like closed the window on her and leave.
Close the window.
Like in a car. In a car, like I was in a car talking to her, and then she's like outside the car, and then I just shut the window. I just peace out. But so that happens, and then for some reason I end up getting up with her twin sister.
That's
I guess coming back from war or something.
The forgiveness or whatever part is that we all like sit down.
Yeah, no. So Tanya gets with Harry, and then like there's this awkward moment where they see me and Sonia dating, and they're like, oh wait, that's my ex, and he's dating my twin sister when he was supposed to go to war. But for some reason she's super okay with it. Like there's a moment where it's like, what the fuck, and then the next second it's like, yeah, that works.
Everyone's happy.
Yeah. It was funny though, but that was fun to film, and I think it worked. It was pretty cohesive. And then let's see, what other skits did we film after that? Then there was just the freestyle ones that me and Harry filmed. The goddamn ketchup packets. Take 5 goddamn ketchup packets.
Yeah, no.
Kim Jong-dos, fire the nuke, call the nukes. that skit is always gonna hold a special place in my heart because it was so much fucking fun. And then I think I rewatched that recently, and like the part where we slap each other looks so good, honestly. Like compared to all the other shit we've filmed, like for fight choreography, it looks so good because it was real. Like we actually slapped each other. So this is gonna bridge into future projects, but I do want to do more skits in the future. And for fight choreo, I've realized it's like you either have to do just like light contact for fight choreo and just like have control over yourself, and you have to go for very specific camera angles where you can't see if you actually hit the person or not, because we did discuss that for that project, but once again, 2 men, so we didn't have a third person to film. So I just gave the camera to my dad, and he didn't know what he was doing. So
no, he did not.
So the camera angles clearly show us not actually punching each other when we get to the part where we're like punching and kicking each other. So it's like the pacing actually works pretty well, but it's like you can clearly see us have like a whole foot of space where we just don't actually hit each other. So it just doesn't really work.
The slaps were real because we were actually
the slaps were hilarious. But
then
they were so loud too. And then there was the whole like shovel thing. That was funny. But that project worked out pretty well. And then there was this whole one where we tried to do the whole reverse effect with the arrow again. I don't know why we gave that a second try when the first one failed so hard. It did not work very well. I mean, it worked a little bit better than the first one because it was during daytime. But that one it will always be funny because of that one shot where I film you jumping off the little cliff area of my house.
That was always funny.
And then the camera angle keeps going down, so you just like die, like you just fall infinitely off the cliff. And then there's the meme run that you did at the end that was really funny.
I always found that one great.
After that, I don't think we filmed any skits, unfortunately. After that, it was mostly just distance. Like, I was always at like a boarding school.
Yeah, because you went to did you go to governor's school?
Governor's,
yeah. Yeah, because you went to governor's school.
And I didn't go home nearly as much at governor's school. Because Oak Ridge, I was like, I'm going to take every opportunity I can to go back. But governor's school was more just, I wasn't as desperate to go home, so... I did actually go to Manhattan for a film camp for like a week.
I remember that
during the summer between my junior and senior year.
Bought a whole bunch of tech stuff.
Yeah. Camera equipment and stuff. I think we filmed the ketchup stuff after that actually.
Yeah.
But I remember because like at the film camp, for some reason I had it in my head that I needed to be really serious about it. So like all my skits just didn't work in my opinion, just because I was trying to be too serious. So like all the ideas I had, once again, I still had the issue of like trying to get a message across or trying to get something across that wasn't working because I didn't film it right. And then also just like making things really deep when they didn't need to be that deep. So it was actually pretty nice going back home and then being like, all right, Harry, we're gonna film something stupid.
Oh yeah.
Like Penny, it didn't totally get the message across, but it was still quite funny, I think.
Some people were so confused, like what do you say?
Oh yeah, most people who watched it didn't understand the overarching plot of what was going on. But I think from a slapstick point of view, it was funny. So
I'm really glad that film school didn't keep its hold on you because God, you would be insufferable.
I mean, film school. So going to Manhattan for that was like what made me realize I didn't want to do film, because I was like, I just don't enjoy working with these people. And it's like, I do get that it's not always like that. Like if you find a group of people that you enjoy working with, like actors and stuff, and it can be a lot better. But it was just all the management work. Like directing is like, there's so little. At least from where I was standing, there was not a lot of room for creativity. It was mostly about management and how good you could be at managing people and like getting people to do things correctly and getting people to understand your ideas for stuff. So it was just like so much of that communication and stuff. And I was just like, man, I just wanted to film some some cool shit. But I ended up just having to be like a teacher, I feel like, of just like constantly micromanaging people and asking people to do things. So after that, I think I lost a little bit of motivation in terms of filming stuff. But I mean, the nice thing about all of our skits and stuff is, as silly as they were, I think I steadily got better at editing over time. So I'd say I'm at least a halfway decent editor now. Like I'm definitely not trained in editing and like sufficient to like the normal YouTube level that most editors are. But I think I'm pretty close. I don't think it would take that long for me to bridge that gap, because I just have so many years of experience of editing clips together and trying to understand pacing. So we did start our gaming channel pretty soon after that. It was actually pretty concurrent with that, because we started the gaming channel during Oak Ridge. I remember it was during Christmas.
Yeah, because we made the Rocket League videos.
Yeah. Those are interesting.
Yeah,
in terms of commentary and stuff.
Yeah.
But
we also weren't very good at Rocket League at the time.
No,
I remember watching
we
the
not.
first video that you guys did.
Yeah,
it was interesting.
Just like popping off so hard in quick play over like easy goals.
Oh yeah.
But to be fair, if you've seen any actual YouTuber play Rocket League, they all suck at it too. Yep. So it's always painful because it's basically the same thing where they like pop off over like really basic things, and you're just like, okay. I feel like Rocket League is one of the only games that does that, because like in an FPS game, even if you're like super good at an FPS game, if a noob hits like a really clean headshot, you're still gonna be like, yeah, that's nice, like that looked nice. But like in Rocket League, if you're like good at the game and then you see like a noob just hit a normal shot in, you're not like, oh, clean. You're like,
I think
there was no one defending.
Issue with Rocket League is there's the chance of you hitting a really good play in Rocket League when you don't know how to play the game is just infinitely lower than any other.
It's basically
game.
non-existent.
Yeah. It's like you could get lucky, and it is possible. Like you could get like pull shot into like a double tap or something like crazy. But like in like FPS, it's
but
like,
even then, it's like even at the high level, you see those things that at low levels are considered cool accidents, like demo goals and stuff like that, where at low levels you're like, oh, I demoed it. At high levels, it's like, yeah, like we see that shit all the time.
Yeah, that is also true.
Or we don't consider it impressive. Yeah.
So it's just like, because like when I started COD, it's like, I think within the first 3 games, I got like a really cool sequence of plays where I was like, holy shit, I can't believe I did that. But it's like Rocket League, it's like by the time you hit a cool goal, you've just practiced so much that it's like the luster just doesn't stick the same. I mean, like, I'm not saying it doesn't exist a lot. Like when I first hit a double tap, oh my god, nearly came.
Anyway, so do you have anything to add to that whole thing? Because Harry, I know you had like a fairly different perspective on all that, because for the most part, it was just me directing everything. So you kind of just like followed along. So I am interested to hear like what your side of that was from a creative aspect.
I mean, I think the gaming stuff was something that I've tried, I think probably at least 2 times before we made ours.
I've seen your Minecraft video that you made with your friends.
I don't want to talk about it. But like, yeah, I've tried it twice before. I don't think the channel is up anymore. Because originally we were in middle school, so we called it Community Kids because we're in middle school. So our idea was we would make our own videos, and then like, what we also do would have like, if people want to submit videos, we'd post them on our channel as well. Yeah. So it'd be like one of those features, because back then it was like a lot of like feature channels.
You were trying to become the T-series of kid Minecraft YouTubers.
And so that went
The
for a little like
machinima
me and my friend.
of Minecraft, if you will.
Oh yeah. That's the main thing. Oh, but it was like so back then. I mean, I had a what's it called? The desktop I played Minecraft on would randomly shut off, and when you shut it off, the hard drive got wiped every time. So you go
What
back
the-
to
what?
bro. I don't know what was up with like thinking back. I'm
interesting.
like that doesn't even make sense to me.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah,
every time
that's
it
crazy.
shut you, it would shut off on its own. The hard like all your files were gone. So I would
nuts.
save like my Minecraft world and saves on a what's it called, a flash drive. So whenever it would disappear, I'll just load it back up. And so obviously we didn't really have good computers because gaming computers, at least this is like what, very early 2010s.
Yeah.
So it's like gaming computers then, at least for our age, just like not existent.
Yeah.
And so that went for like we made like a couple of videos, and then I had like so we did like multiplayer with us together, and then I had a let's play, and then I stopped the let's play because I would back up my world save, but I accidentally deleted a new save without downloading the old save. And so yeah, that ended that because I no longer had my save file. And in the end, we just stopped recording and stuff either because I mean, looking back, the video quality was dog shit, but. That was that and that.
I feel like it's very common, especially nowadays, for like younger kids to like try to make YouTube channels because everyone nowadays like that's the dream job. Everyone sees the content creators and they're like, I want to play games for a living, without realizing content creation is like 10% playing the game. It's not even 10. It's like 5% playing the game, and then like 85% editing, and then 10% social interaction and like knowing how to to
And
make
5%
yourself
is
popular
the
by
the
like
math that
interacting
Greg
with social
failed to
media.
get there.
Wait, 85, and 10.
That's 95.
Wait, it is? Oh.
85 and 10?
Well,
No, 5, 85, and 10. That's 100.
no. You
5,
said
85. Okay.
5%.
I said 5% is the actual gaming, 85% is the editing, and 10% is
never
the
mind. I
Oh, that's
misheard
fine
you
then.
social interaction.
So the other like
thought you said
0.8% is a dash not hearing shit.
Oh, no, yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's mostly editing. Like, you don't realize that until you actually start a YouTube channel, but it's like, wow, like the difference between a video that's completely unedited and like, especially the state of YouTube now. Like back then you could get away with.
Editing is the viewer retention. I feel like there's a lot more that also needs to be put into title and thumbnail. Because that's basically all it is for getting
yes.
views.
I mean, that's a big part of it, but it's like, if you don't have viewer retention, then it doesn't really matter if you get the clicks, because it's just not going to really sustain you at all. And people are not going to subscribe because the content itself is not good. So it's like, still at the end of the day, I think editing is the big thing. I mean, there's been especially nowadays, like YouTube is so different now than it used to be back then, because back then you could get away with minimal editing and still make it successful.
Yeah,
but now
unless you
if you don't have
entertain.
editing, it's impossible. Like, you have to have like really clean editing now. It's like the YouTube scape. And I've seen actually 2 or 3 YouTubers who have like extremely good editing that started from basically nothing and became successful within like a few months, just based off editing and consistency alone, which is pretty cool. That like, if you work enough skill to get that and have enough consistency, you can just almost guaranteed succeed. But it does take like a huge amount of skill that normal people just have no access to.
It's a lot of time commitment to it.
Yeah, I mean, editing is like, it's something you have to learn, and it takes a long time to understand how to edit well. It's not as simple as just splitting clips together. Like there's so much more that goes into editing, like a pretty crazy amount actually. So I mean, nowadays a lot of YouTubers just have editors, but most of them started editing themselves so that they have a style that is like unique, and then their editors replicate that style.
Once you actually got a good income, then you're like, I ain't gotta do this no more on my own.
See, this
have someone else do it.
It's a shame we're going past, present, future, because this actually ties into one of my future.
We can. It's Harry's host, but I brought up one of my perspective projects before.
Yeah, so I was gonna say one of my like future projects that I always wanted to do is I think I could start pretty soon now too. I just need a webcam. I wanted to do just like start a YouTube channel and do just like a series called "How Long Does It Take," and basically it's just me like documenting me learning a new skill. And then I'm just seeing how long does it take until I'm somewhat good at said new skill. So I think if I did this, the first episode would have to be editing, just because if I'm gonna be learning how to make videos and stuff, it's like, well, I need to be able to edit them. So if the first episode would be jank, and it would just be how long till I'm good enough at editing to release a video that's not shit.
You're gonna be like the Try Guys, but Try Guy instead of Try Guys. But you're also committing a lot more to the thing.
I'm not just trying.
We've talked about this idea before. I think it's really cool, but it is gonna take a lot of commitment for all of the things, because learning things does take a long time.
I had a list too. I don't know if I can find it, but I do have a list. There's like it's like split into 2 columns. One is like work related stuff, which I probably wouldn't put on the YouTube series, and then the other is just like random things. One of them is just like card tricks, and then I think there's an instrument on there. But there's just a bunch of random things on there. I remember, just like things I was like interested in.
Yeah, I mean that could be a very successful and cool idea. It's just gonna take a lot of work, but to go back to Harry, I did say, like, I mean, I was like sort of the director for most of our skits, because I was the one who usually came up with the idea. But Harry did always throw a lot of ideas in there, and it's like me and Harry just have this dynamic where like we have bad ideas, and instead of like shutting down each other's bad ideas, we just give more bad ideas. We're like, all right, that's really stupid and silly. Let's do that. And then what if we also did this stupid and silly thing?
What if we also added on more of this? And
I feel like that's how the best friendships are built.
So we have a whole history. I mean, I said it in our eulogy episode, but we have a whole history of really dumb and shitty things that we've made. But they're all good memories, but they're definitely from a objective standpoint, they're definitely pretty low quality content. But
no, they are. They definitely are. But for what we were back then, it was pretty. We thought it was great.
But that's why I'm saying it's like I do. I mean, this is once again going to perspective projects, but I do want to film a skit again and just see where we are now, because I don't think our level of like cinematography has gotten much better at all, obviously, because we haven't practiced or trained in that. But I think just in terms of like pacing, I think in terms of acting we could do better. I think in terms of writing we can definitely do better now. So I think there's just so much we could do better on in a skit if we did one now compared to back then, because it's been a long time since we've filmed a skit. The last one, which was like the petty area, that was like 2016 or something like that, I think. No, it couldn't have been, because I was at what's it called? It was after, so it couldn't have been 2016. When was it then? Wait, I
think it was 2018, 2019, because this was I showed this to.
It was
Banana.
like 5 years ago. Yeah.
It was like right before we started dating, actually, because I showed her like a dash and a banana, the first, like the petty, and also the one of me jumping into the void.
Right.
I remember a dash found that hilarious.
I can't remember.
I just disappeared. We'll send it to you later. We'll refresh it.
We could. I was thinking about showing some of our old stuff like in the podcast, but I was like, without the visual aspect, it's kind of impossible. But we can show you some of this stuff like after the podcast.
So
if you're listening to this and you want to see them, they're on our personal channel or on our other channels and personal channels. The petty and the Harry jumping into the void, those are on Night Sun Productions.
I think they're Night Sun Production.
Void. Yeah, they're on Night Sun Production. That's also where our vlog is coming out tomorrow, I believe. Nice. It's already out, but it's unlisted right now. So when we actually watch it, I'm going to unlist it.
But to finish out for my past projects, because of like how things were back then, I didn't really have much to do at home. Other than, I think the first project was probably like on my own, was probably when I built my PC. Or going to build my PC,
and then that became your hobby.
That became my hobby, because like back then
that became your
before
addiction.
that it was just the thing. Like, I mean, because I went to the thing, like on the weekends I would always go to Greg's house, so whatever I did on the weekends I would do with Greg. And if I wasn't out with Greg, I don't remember what I would do at home. I think I just played games on the laptop, which was, I remember, both a great and terrible experience because it's a laptop.
It was great at the time. In hindsight, it was terrible.
Hindsight, as a person who
has a better
computers and
build,
has a very expensive computer, I'm just like, damn, humble beginnings.
Yeah.
But like, so I think my first PC was my first big like thing, and especially because that was the first time I bought something worth a couple $100s with my own money without consulting my dad.
Oh,
because back then it was like, whenever you want to do stuff with, it's either it was before I made my own money,
Yeah,
I was using my dad's money. And so back then, I never bought anything for myself because I was like, it's someone else's money. I can't do that. Yeah. And also he would, if he checked it, I'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
So it was like, I would only bought it when I needed, gas and food every once in a while and groceries for the house. And then when I started working, I was like, hey, I can actually build my own computer. And I looked up all the parts and stuff. I remember what it was. It was a 1050. I wanted a 1050 Ti, but all the Ti's were sold out. So it was a 1052 gig. 8 gigabytes of RAM. Ooh. It was 2x4 sticks. It was a AT. Scarlett actually has my original case.
Wait, still?
Yeah, I built her computer in that case.
I mean, cases are the one thing that never need to be upgraded. So.
Yeah. I thought you meant she's still using like the first PC.
Imagine she's playing Apex on a 1050. That's crazy.
Yeah. I was like, what?
She has a 1060 6 gig. But yeah, no, I used my first case as her computer. It was I think 50 or I think it was a 2400. It was a Ryzen chip. I remember that.
This is not a bad build, actually.
It wasn't. So the only thing that was bad about it was the GPU because it was a 1052 gig. But eventually, I upgraded like maybe a couple months down the line. I was like, I'm balling. So
wait, is this off the Taco Bell money?
Well, Taco Bell and Paper Route. Remember that Paper Route was supplementing my bank account.
And if you're not spending that money on anything else, then it is just going to
exactly.
stack up.
I didn't have bills to pay. I was fortunate enough that my dad was like, as long as you can take care of yourself, I don't have a car note. I don't have to pay insurance. I don't need to worry about gas.
Right.
It was just take care of things at the house. And so. What's it called? I just looked at my bank account.
I did forget about the paper route. I was just like, is he saying? Are you balling on a minimum wage? $7.25.
I mean, when I worked full time at Taco Bell, every paycheck was like $500 some, which for a 17-year-old
fair enough.
Who's never earned that much money at once, it was great. And then the paper route was the extra like $300-$400 every other week,
right?
Which was great. What else? So that was like the first. Oh, what else? It was I think it was like 450 watt, 500 watt power supply. And then the really basic cooler. I think I used a stock cooler. I remember the issue when I first built it. The first issue I had was one of my RAM sticks actually came dead on arrival. Oh, shit. So what would happen is when I installed it, it would work fine. But the thing is, as soon as you went over like half the RAM usage, because the other RAM stick was bad, it would cut off my computer and blue screen. And so I was so confused what was going wrong. And I'm freaking out because I'm like, I spent $80-some. Back then, for 8 gigs, 8 gigs was like $80 or some shit. And I was like, oh fuck, I just spent $80. What's going on? And I actually came to the conclusion. I don't remember how I figured it out, but I diagnosed it myself. I was like, wait, let me use one RAM stick and see if it works, and I use the other one if it doesn't work, and like swap them off and see if it's just the RAM. Because I think I was based off the error code Windows was giving. It was RAM based, so I was like, all right, it's got to be that. So I did that, and when I used the faulty RAM stick, I booted up and it immediately cut off, and I was like, oh, so it's a RAM stick issue. I contacted Newegg, and they're like, you guys, you can send it back since it's dead, and if you want a replacement, you can send a replacement. If not, you just get a refund. And so I was like, Newegg takes a good minute to ship, and I found on Amazon a 1x8 gig for the like a little cheaper. So I was like, I'll just get a refund and order that because Amazon's also faster shipping. And I think Scarlett used that 1x8 gig for a long time. She might even still have it in her computer. It's like that was the first my very own project. And then I built Scarlett's computer. I built Scarlett's computer for her 16th or 15th birthday. And that was hers used a 1600X, the 1066 gig, and then I would just use that 8 gigabyte stick I had before and gave it to her, and I upgraded to a 16. and she has the same computer still running it. And it's good enough for her. At this point, I'm not supplementing her.
From there, Harry just started building PCs for everyone
that
needed one, or everyone that needed one, and everyone he could convince to want one.
Oh yeah, I built one for I built one for one of our old friends. They're
really old. They're like 80.
And then I built one for Benea's family for Christmas. That was actually their Christmas present. I built a full on. It wasn't a gaming PC, but it was like a desktop,
like functional. Yeah.
I think it was like overall at that time, because it wasn't too expensive. I know it was like $300-$400. Which it's cheaper. It's about the same price as if I was spending for all of them for birthday gifts, anyways.
Jesus,
and it was an
Christ,
easy out for me.
Yeah.
More I think on it, the more I realize I can't afford a relationship anyway.
Yeah.
You also took a dip into 3D printing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess this is also a past project.
Yeah.
So I got a 3D printer because it looks so cool.
Yeah. The concept is great. Like that, you can just print any 3D thing you want.
But yeah. Which this actually will touch into future projects. But I got a 3D printer because it was on sale, because it was the Ender 3 V2. And it was on sale for the price of the Ender 3 base, which was like $180, where regular price was like $250, $260 or some shit like that.
It's absolutely insane that 3D printers are affordable now. I remember back when they were like thousands or tens of thousands.
And then that was 2010. That was the same decade.
Just over the course of a few years, it's suddenly now you can just buy one for like $100. It's crazy.
And then there's I forget what company makes it.
Actually,
there's some company, I forgot what they were. They're actually either Indiegogo or what's it called? What's the other thing? I think it's Indiegogo, just Indiegogo.
And Kickstarter.
They're the company. They do a 3D printer, but it's like so high tech. It's like $700, but it's got a built-in camera and sensor. So if anything goes wrong with the print, it'll stop. And it prints. I think
that's actually so good. That's such a good feature.
And so because technically with my printer, I can get a Raspberry Pi camera and stuff, and there's a program that will sense, it'll watch it, and it can see the visual of it, it fucking up, and then it'll stop. Yeah. But the thing is, I don't want to go through all the work of rewiring shit more than I need to, because I'm not gonna lie, it's a pain in the ass to wire that shit. With all the all the fuck tons, not fuck tons, but the way it's built, it's not something I want to do, honestly. Because I've already done a couple upgrades on it, just because it was in place of me wanting to get a project car. I just wanted something to work on, so I got a 3D printer and I did small upgrades on it, printed some shit here and there, and the thought was eventually, if I needed custom made components, I can model and then 3D print them and use them as for either my project car, spacers, bushings or anything, and in my computer or desk life, in my workstation. I've printed a couple parts before, certain brackets, monitor stands, and containers and stuff.
If only I'd had a 3D printer at my house, we wouldn't have needed to order the backplate.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I would have to design it, and then printing it would take a whole nother day or so.
Yeah, a day. Yeah,
and then it would be lining up and everything. Which realistically, it wouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't know if you had a 3D modeling. If you have a 3D
printer,
had a
3D printer, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he would have had a 3D modeling.
What's it called? With the 3D printer, the excuse was also I loved 3D modeling when I did a drafting class, and so I wanted to get back into that. And so I actually learned. I wanted to learn AutoCAD as well, so I learned 3D modeling in AutoCAD, which is actually atrocious because it's meant for 2D modeling.
Yeah.
Which is actually something I do a lot at work now. Which is kind of great, but 3D modeling in AutoCAD was the worst, because to rotate to a 3D axis, you have your Y and X axis, and to actually rotate it so you go into the Z axis and do other angles, you actually have to manually rotate the axes. And sometimes orientating that is the worst thing ever, because you orientate it and look at it and you're like, this is not the right thing, or you would flip it around and it would just still look like the same thing and you didn't change anything. And then eventually I went back to Creo, which was the original 3D modeling program I used, which way easier for 3D modeling. I think now Fusion 360 is a big one. I've never used it. And it's SolidWorks, I think, is also another popular one, which I was considering getting into because it was, I think, pretty big in automotive. But here or there. But yeah, now 3D printing, I'm actually thinking about for future stuff, I forget what the material is called, but it's like the more like rubbery, silicone-like material, and you could use it like to print phone cases. I was thinking about maybe getting a spool of that and playing around with that to like tune in settings and stuff, because obviously it's a different material, so you gotta like tweak settings and get certain either speeds or temperatures correct, so it doesn't get fucked up. And so because I could actually use those for actual bushings rather than the PTFE plastic.
I actually,
which those would be more for spacers.
I actually if I ever did do my how long does it take series, one of the things I definitely would consider is buying a 3D printer. And then it's just how long first it would be how long does it take to get decent at 3D modeling, and then if that goes successfully, then I'd buy the 3D. Then I'd spend the money on the printer.
I've always been interested in 3D printers and 3D printing because I just think it's so cool, just like the ability to just print basically any object you want that isn't like super complex on the inside. But I just like obviously I don't know anything about modeling and stuff, so but like my whole thing was like, well, if I need to, I can just buy models and stuff, because those are all like over the internet and stuff. But I was like, there's so like even nowadays there's just so much labor that goes into just working with a 3D printer. Like no matter how good a 3D printer is, you're still gonna have to have some level of proficiency with understanding how it actually works, because it's inevitably gonna fuck up. Like no matter how good it is, it's inevitably gonna fuck up.
Something,
it's just how long
even the most expensive, something might happen, and you have to be able to take something apart to tweak it. And
so I was like, at this rate, like
that's
the
the
only
part
time
of the joy.
I would ever get a 3D printer is if I have like way excessive amount of money, and I'm just like, all right, well, may as well. And if that's the case, I may as well just buy one for Harry and let him deal with all the shit. And then
I did always say, if you want anything printed, just send it to me and I'll print it.
Because Harry already is somewhat
I was gonna say
versed in and outs. So.
I wonder if you would want to do a resin printer. Because I think there's technically less on your end to work.
That's true.
In terms of like how the printing process, but you do have to like clean it up. Or like make sure it's ventilated, because it does release like toxins. But
once again, that's like a very like on a whim sort of thing, because there's no reason for me to need a 3D printer. Like I don't use physical objects that often. I'm a tech dude, so.
But I think that's about it for past projects. Like 4 or 5 computers and 3D printer. I guess there's also the cleaning up the garage and building that up, and now it's basically my little workshop. It was, so my dad had a knack of bringing home damn, this is gonna be a longer podcast.
I noticed that when we were 40 minutes in and we weren't done to the past section, it's like, this is about to be a 2-hour podcast for sure.
Oh well, I'll have fun editing this one. Oh shit. But my dad had a knack of just bringing home a whole bunch of shit he would take up from when he worked at the gas station. And he just bring it home because, and then he would just store it in a garage. And it got to a point where you couldn't fit a car in a garage, so we would always park outside. And eventually, when I started driving, I was like, this is an issue. We have a proper garage. Might as well, use it. Actually, the first thing that happened was the garage door stopped working. I fixed the garage door. That, I remember, because I dropped the garage door on my head.
Jesus.
By accident.
That was concussion number 3.
Yeah, because so the cable. So I don't know if you guys know. There's a cable and spring that holds like operates the garage door. What keeps like the tension there. So one of the cables came undone. So basically, there's too much tension. So to lift it up, you basically had to. It was a whole workout to lift. You were basically lifting the whole garage door unassisted. So Scarlett couldn't do it, and only my dad and I could do it.
Yeah.
And so that became an issue. The cable came undone, and then the springs unwound. That's what happened to make it so you couldn't lift it. So, I just went to the garage. I was like looking at it. I was like, all right, the cable was undone. I redid the cable, but then I couldn't lift it. And I was like, all right, something's not right. And I looked it up, and it's the spring. And so I figured out by off of the sheet specs how many turns to turn the spring. But I didn't know if you had to do it when the garage door is up or down. So the first time I did it, I think I did it when it was up, and it ended up causing it to have too much tension, and it dropped on my. When I let go, it dropped on my head because I was on a ladder underneath it. And I remember neighbors, they were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm good," because I mean, I'm a pretty solid dude. So like, you know, I was like, oh, yeah, whatever. But it sounded really bad because it was, you heard a garage door go funk.
I'm pretty sure it was pretty bad. You're just in denial.
Yeah. I think just the effects of it were long lasting.
and then, well, because then the garage door like slammed down. They're like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "No, I'm good. I just gotta redo the spring." So I undid the springs, redid them, and then it lifted, you know, perfectly. And then I was like, "Oh my god."
This is pretty impressive.
And from then,
you just figured this out on your own.
Hey, bro, I think this was when I was working at Toyota too. So
Makes sense.
it was all the mechanic shit. And then I first started throwing away a whole bunch of shit and cleaning out the garage. So then I could park a car. And then more recently by like the last year or so, I went in, actually cleaned out a lot more thoroughly instead of just tucking away and organizing. Actually taking the shit we don't need, throwing it out, reorganizing to how like I made some shelving and stuff for out of some, you know, some scrap wood and shit. I'm not a carpenter, so it's kind of dog, but it holds shit up and it's not falling apart. Like looking at like when I was like my idea, it was an idea, but then when I used it, I I was holding the shelf and I was wiggling it. I was like, this shit is loose.
Harry's design philosophy is very similar to his health philosophy. As long as it works and it's still like functioning, then it's all good.
Well, with the design, at least, it was like I built it, but there's ways I can reinforce it. So I reinforced it and just sent it, and it works. And I'm like, it's not falling apart, and it's fine. And so now the garage is basically, you know, all good and well because I have my lifts, I have all my tools, I have
it's a nice looking garage.
A lot of hardware. I cleaned it. I think I cleaned it up pretty well for what it is.
Yeah.
And I guess that there's also the ping pong table legs, but that just kind of was just me cutting wood. Measuring wood, cutting it, and then screwing shit up.
Has a lot of experience with wood.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, that was my first woodworking project, and then I remember one of our friends looking at it, was like, "Did you make this yourself?" And I was like, "Okay, fuck off." And I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "I can tell." I was like, "Hold on,
damn.
It may look like shit, but it holds up pretty well." And I'm pretty sure you could never do something like this anyways, so fuck off.
Wait,
I don't know. I was a little.
Did that? Who said that?
The one that how to say? I'll just message you.
I do remember you mentioning this. That is really shitty though. It's like someone finishes a project and then you just like shit on it.
It's not the fact like I get it. It's like, not, you know, pristine, perfectly.
See, I might make a joke about that,
but
I would also like comment on the fact that it's impressive you did it yourself.
Yeah, because it's like the legs weren't level. Like, so I made it two halves. So the height of which like the cross beams came together to the legs weren't the same height because I didn't care about that because I'm like, it doesn't need to look the prettiest. It just needs to be usable and stable because I'm not gonna spend too much work and making sure things are like perfectly the same height and stuff. Because I was like, it's just unnecessary extra work, and I was trying to get this done quickly so I can play ping pong.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to paint it either because realistically it's going to be under a table. So I'm like, once again, it doesn't need to be
really
pretty.
matter.
And if I want to paint it later, I can just get some sandpaper, quick sand it up, rough it up, and then spray paint over. And once again, not that big of a deal to me because it's I'm not staring at it to be like, damn, that shit pretty as fuck.
In conclusion, if you ever need anything made, Harry's your guy.
And then, you know, if you don't need it made well, I can still do it. It's
Harry's still your guy. Harry's especially your guy.
Oh,
well, if you want it made fast.
Well, depends on what it is to be fast, but
relatively fast.
What's it called? I think Summer's PC was really nice because when I painted it actually came out really nice.
I mean, then she spilled nail polish remover on it, so now it's a little bit chalked. But
wait, she did? I did not know.
Well, it happened like a week ago.
So it looked like someone cried.
It's just like
white,
which doesn't even make sense because she said her initial PC was the case is black. So I don't know what happened. But.
So the lavender is a mix, or the lavender purple. Is a mix of white and dark purple. I think because sometimes if I didn't shake it well enough when I sprayed it, you could see the tints of white.
I see. So there's like a layer.
Yeah, so it probably just took off like the whiteness probably gave it like the lighter. So it's just shaving off the purple color and just leaving the base white. I see. It's probably what's happening.
Speaking of spray painting,
it's just
by the way,
it's a Pollock.
I've actually
I'm pretty sure I'm done with all my past so we can.
Yeah. An hour in, Adash. What are your best projects?
Well, I was gonna say, speaking of spray painting particularly, I've actually been looking into it like the past week, just like learning about it. And I was like, because I kind of wanted to like do some stuff, like, you know, I do want to commit to the black and red theme. I don't know if you guys noticed when you came over, but like most everything in my setup is either black or red. And like the curtains are red, for example, stuff like that. So it's like I want to maintain that. So I remember there's like I bought like the humidifier, for example, and it's like there were no black ones for some reason that were cheap. So I just bought the white one. I was like, I could just paint it in the future. So I was just looking.
Yeah.
Humidifier.
Yeah, I was just looking into like how does like spray painting work, all that, and I've realized it's, well, first of all, there's like, because I knew nothing about it. So first of all, it seems like I'm not just buying the paint and like any cleaning solution. I also need to buy primer.
Yeah.
So depends on what you're painting.
Yeah, if it's metal.
Right. If you're painting metal, even if you're painting metal, you don't really need primer.
Okay.
There's a lot of like paint and primer combos, and so like I would say, unless you're trying to be like all pristine and shit, if you're using spray paint, I wouldn't get primer, because spray paint isn't very pristine, and everything I've spray painted, I've never used primer, and it comes out fine.
Okay.
If you're painting metal, I would probably rough up the surface a little bit with some high grit sandpaper.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Yeah, I need to buy that.
Yeah, so if you're cleaning it, you use low grit. You start off with like 320, then you go up to 400, and I think you want to get about 700 to 800 grit before you go to paint. For plastics, I found it's very hit or miss with how well they take paint. Maybe this is where you would use primer, but I've learned that enough coats, it works. Like this is actually something that happened on Summer's case. It was weird because certain plastics took the paint perfectly. Like I would spray it and it would come out fine. But other plastics, what would happen is when you spray it, the paint will like bubble up or like kind of what's it called? Do like some surface tension bullshit, and it would leave like little circles, like little bubbles of essentially unpainted surfaces, just all here and there, all throughout the plastic. I'm just sitting here like, but why? Because the thing is, I sanded and like cleaned all the plastic parts, like really rough sand, and it still did that. And I was really confused why I was doing that. But the thing is that was you just do one quick spray and you see it happen. Just let it dry, do it over again, and you just keep layering it over and over again until it's smooth.
See, I feel like at this point you may as well just get primer and just do one layer.
But primer is another same $8 or so. But the thing is, you gotta spray the primer, let it dry. But I'm like, when you're buying a lot of spray paint, it gets a little costly.
Also, okay, so
and it's not even that big of a time consuming thing because it takes like 3 or 4 minutes for the paint to dry, and you just add another layer.
Since Harry's an expert on this, and I just didn't realize, I also need to ask you another question, which is, I don't feel like doing this outside or.
You want to do that outside.
I was going to say.
I was like, can you
I don't think there's any paint.
I was like, can you do it inside?
I was going to say, I was just going to ask, because, I think that's the main thing stopping me. But I figured I'd ask anyway. It's like, if I just open the windows.
The fumes, you would fuck yourself.
No, you know what? Get one of those like indoor like fucking cloth sauna things, and then just shut yourself inside of it with a mask, and then just go to town.
You just make a paint booth. So the thing is also with the spray paint is because it's a spray. Sometimes the wind will carry those spray particles, and you it will
just
dot things.
Other shit.
So unless you like. That's why you normally want to paint, aiming at the ground, because sometimes the air would also just, blow these little small smudges of paint, and it'll just trickle on everywhere. So that's also probably why you don't want to do it inside. But the fumes is really bad. So unless you're gonna like hand paint everything with like acrylic paint or some shit,
that is the other option. I was thinking I could just hand paint it.
Yeah,
I might actually just do that.
Probably easier way to go.
Yeah. Just get some. That's actually something. I have a lot of acrylic paints. When I meant to paint your the octane for your birthday, I still have the acrylic paints, and I still haven't gotten to painting anything.
So what paint would stick to like metal and stuff?
Metal, I don't know in terms of like brush paints. I think acrylic works for both plastics and paints as long as it's prepped, or plastics and metals. I think though for plastics you gotta make sure it's either a certain kind of plastic or you've treated it with something. like either acetone or some sort of like kind of like what's it called, alcohol type substance to kind of dry it out and get it real clean and rough it up. But I'm not very well versed in hand painting shit because that was never my thing.
All right, so I can speed run through my past projects by saying I just never did any. Like I basically just, I don't know, like when I was younger, it's like I'd mess around with things and stuff, but like I was never really that big into projects. I liked being told what to do and then making things, but I don't really count any of that as project. It's like if the end goal was already like predetermined by a series of steps, I wouldn't. Yeah. So yeah, I don't like the only project or the only thing I did that like would count, I'd say, is cooking, but I still do that. So I think that's more present. And with cooking, it's like, yeah, I just try to make like at least one new dish that I've never made before per month. Ideally, I want like 2 to 3. I think I've stuck to that since November. This month was the only month I hadn't made anything. And then I made those fucking... So... Yeah, so basically what it was initially, like I got some chicken out and I was like, I don't want to make pasta again. Like, so let me try something else. I was like, let me just deep fry some chicken. But then I was like, that's just not a full meal. Like, that's just chicken. So I was like, how can I change this? And then I thought about it for a while. I got lazy. I was like, fuck it. I don't care anymore. So I cut up the chicken, marinated it, and I was like, I'll just make chicken pasta. I'll figure it out later. But then, like, I got back after the chicken had been marinating for a bit, and I was like, no, I really don't want to make pasta. It's like, fuck, I already cut up the chicken, though. And I was like, it's fine. What I'll do is I'll boil some potatoes, mash the potatoes, and then I'll use that as, like, a flour mix to coat the chicken. So I did that. I mashed the potatoes, but the thing is like, even though I put them to boil for, like, 20 minutes, it's like, the small pieces just never fully mashed. It's like some of it did, but some of it just stayed like rough, and I just couldn't be bothered to boil like the individual pieces again because it was like half creamy but like half not. So anyway,
you should have microwaved
it. Maybe, but anyway, I didn't do that because at this point I was angry and not thinking clearly. And so I just did a test run with one like potato covered chicken ball. The potato just didn't stick. So I was like, great, that's not good. So then I was like, fuck it. We'll just add some flour, add some egg, whisk it in, and then see if it works. While I was doing it, it just didn't look like it would stick at all. But actually, for some reason, like when I put it into the oil, it did stick. So shout out to flour and cornstarch for that.
Well, they are binding agents.
Yeah.
But anyway, in the end, it's like it ended up taking like 2 hours to like cook, then clean everything, and I was just like,
yeah, I was like, you should probably just use the pasta.
Yeah, I really should have, but I like an hour and a half in, I was so committed, you know. So it's like I finished it, and to be fair, I don't think it turned out bad. Like I think it did. Like the end result is pretty tasty, but definitely not worth the stress. But by the end of this month, I think the next thing I'll make is probably some fajitas, just regular fajitas. And then
cooking projects are really fun. I remember you getting on directly after the incident in question, and you are very sad. You're like, I just wasted 2 hours of my life.
That's the thing. It's like I did feel that way, but then I was like, to be fair, like besides the anger near the end where nothing was going right and my hands were sticky, I do enjoy like cooking because it's like it's a dance between improv and like figuring out things, and it's like because something always goes wrong, but then at least when you're making like new things, it's like it's never smooth for me. So it's like it's all like just adapting and figuring out how can I save this. So I enjoy cooking.
Yeah, it sounded like what you ended up trying to make was like what did they call, like a croquette or something? It's like instead of using the potato as like a batter outside, it's more of like a ball of potato with a meat
Like
filling inside,
fillings,
and it's like
yeah.
it's a big deep fry. So rather than like a thin layer, it's all packed together. So I think next time if you were to do something like that, you would shape it, use some foil wrap to keep the shape, and then refrigerate the potato to let it cool and set for a little bit, and then you would fry it. And I think that helps keep its shape a lot more.
Yeah, I see
I don't
that.
remember if you also said you added an egg.
Yeah, just to bind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the egg and flour and cornstarch, and then I think that would be better. I don't know cooking time wise, especially since it's chicken. You do want to be good, make sure that's good. But I think it's kind of I don't remember what.
No,
those are
I'm
called,
looking at it. It is
It
a
sounds.
croquette. Yeah, you are correct.
Yeah, croquette.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that's what it sounded. I was like, that's what it sounds like you were you're about to make, but ended
Yeah,
up.
there was no recipe. this just came to me, and I was like, "Fuck it, we'll see what happens."
Yeah.
Just freestyle it.
Yeah,
That is cooking.
But I mean, you could try making that next time because it sounds like you're basically there. Just there's like a couple
you were
steps
just
missing,
missing a
kinda
few
screwed you
small
over.
things that
Yeah.
had a big impact.
Yeah, I think if you used the cling foil to shape it and then refrigerate it for a little bit, I think it would have made it a lot easier for yourself. So on that note, I think that's all our past projects. If I'm aware.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and go into some current projects. Dash, actually, you want to start us off since I know you said you didn't have any past projects. Let's see, do you have any current projects you're working on?
Yes, but also I don't know if it even counts because I'm procrastinating so heavily on it. But I've talked about this before plenty of times. It's the game.
Current-ish projects.
So I do want to finish my card game. For the podcast listeners, all one of you. Basically, Greg, a long time back during one of his motivation sprees, he just created this like card game, and we played it for a bit, and it was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it. The only downside is that, like any card game that you'd play, it ended up having a lot of status effects and other just like mathematical things that you needed to keep track of, and doing that manually is just a pain in the ass. And so each round took.
This is the problem with D&D combat as well. Just like so many things to calculate and like track. It's just like,
it
oh
just
my
takes
god.
forever. So I've been trying to put it into game form, and the issue is for the longest time, in order to like get to the actual coding, I needed to do things I just wasn't that good with. So I had to learn how to like make the cards first of all, which thankfully it is just a card maker. But then I realized it's like I can't just put it in and it's like all the images in random forms and stuff. Like so I had to learn how to like none of it was like particularly hard, but it was just time consuming. But I had to resize a lot of photos. I had to standardize like everything, because it's like when Greg made the game, because he was just doing all the calculations like in his head, he just threw out a bunch of random different elemental types, none of which had any relation to each other or like any sort of like just any structure at all. But it's like, if I was gonna make this into like an actual computerized game, I had to actually do that. So then I had to do what Greg's job usually is, which is like actually like figure out the mechanics of what I'm making. And so I finally did that, did the cards. I ended up redoing some of the cards like 6-7 times. And it's like not just the card, but because like I made the card, then I'd like export the card, and then like I'd start I'd like size it and then place it correctly, and then I'd realize, wait, fuck, there's a typo. It's like I remember when I posted a bunch of the cards into the Discord, and Greg found like 4 or 5 typos. I was like, God, fucking damn it.
It also has to be said that this is like a purely passion project. I mean, obviously to gain experience too, but it's still a purely passion project because like the entire concept of this card game is it's multiverse. It's like a bunch of different already existing fictional universes. So there's no way this could ever even get close to becoming like monetized.
If I earned a cent off it, I'd be sued for $1 trillion. Like, it's crazy.
Exactly.
But to be fair,
So it's purely a passion project.
If I did get it working, A, I can add it to my resume, but B, it's like realistically, now that AI art is a thing, if I spent some effort learning it. I feel like I could just change all the cards to completely randomly generated characters.
Yeah, just different characters with somewhat related
Yeah,
powers.
exactly. And it's like,
Yeah.
since it's card game form anyway, it's like, I just have to change. Like, I can't have the attack moves be called like Kamehameha and stuff, but
yeah.
besides that, it would be pretty
It's
easy
like
to actually.
choopy choopy choop.
But yeah, so that's the big one. I've been procrastinating a lot on it because
I mean, if you ever need music for that game,
I would
I'm
actually.
down.
So if I ever get to the point where I'm thinking about background music, I'll let
completion.
you know.
Yeah.
Because that'd be near the end anyway. And at that point, you'll actually feel any sort of need to complete it because then you'd be like, hey, this is going towards a finalized product instead of Adash saying he's going to complete a game that he hasn't in a year. But yeah, the reason I've been procrastinating on that...
I mean, I like...
Go on.
If anyone's going to give you sympathy, it's going to be me because I'm designing a TTR. I'm literally ground up designing an entire TTRPG, so I get the pain. Yeah. Game development is a long and struggling process.
It's because like the actual coding is it's a involved process, but it is not more than 50%. There is a lot more that goes into game development.
Oh yeah, no, there's just so much more you have to. And every time you think you're done, you're like, wait, I didn't think about this thing. Or
no,
like,
that's the thing. Is like every time I thought I was good,
just never
I would
ends.
then like go back into Unity and I try to like get things in. And like for example, it's like I'd put in just the face of the characters. And then I'd realize, wait, they all come out as different shapes, and I'm like, I could like manually resize them, but and it would just like fuck with the scaling of each image.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized actually that would be a massive pain in the ass if I ever wanted to change these images in any way. So then I'm like, oh no, for every single image I have to standardize it. So I'd have to go and like just, I mean, I'm just running it through a software, but then since it's the free edition, I have to do it one at a time, then download that image, then go back. It was just, it's like, it's just exhausting really. But the reason I've been procrastinating on that is because I've now have another project that I can't procrastinate as hard on, but I'm still procrastinating on. Which is what I've ended up doing for Capstone, which is my other big idea that I never got around to trying to implement, which is a website where it's basically just a recipe generation website. You get a bunch of ingredients, you just like click the ingredients you have at home, and then it'll give you recipes you can make based on those ingredients. This one has a hard cap of April 30th? No, a little earlier than that, but like, yeah, mid-April it needs to be done.
Oh, that's actually
exactly
soon.
So I literally can't procrastinate on it. So it's like, tomorrow's gonna be painful because I tried to get something done yesterday. I started it and then I was like, fuck, I just don't care. And so I played Rocket League for 2 hours. And then today morning I was like, okay, you know what? I'll get a bunch of things. I was like, I'll play Rocket League early so that I don't feel, because once I play Rocket League for a certain amount of time, I get tilted and I don't want to touch it for the rest of the day. So it's like, if I just do that in the morning, I won't feel the urge to do it in the night. But I played it a little too long in the morning. So I also haven't cooked, which I'll need to do before I start work. But yeah, once I finish that I think once I'm hoping what happens is once I do get through this website, I can prove to myself that I can finish something, and that'll give me some sort of hope or some sort of motivation required to like just continue on, just soldier on through the game.
Right.
And then in about a week's time, I should get all the random little things I ordered off Temu or whatever it's called Temu. Harry, you know about it, right? If Temu is to be believed, I saved like $120 on all the stuff I ordered. And a lot of the things I bought are like desk organizing stuff because I want to work on my setup, which is what the painting also goes into. I want to clean this up. I want it so that ideally only a couple cables or maybe even none are being shown, and it's just like clean, not the fucking tangled matrix mess I have going on. But yeah, as far as current projects go, that's all I have on.
Okay. I was gonna say let's go ahead and just probably wrap up current and future. I don't know how many you have, but I don't have a lot of.
I can get
current
through
and
mine
future.
pretty quickly.
But yeah, I was gonna say, Adash, you want to go?
Oh, my future. Okay.
Oh yeah, just do future as well.
Yeah,
future.
I mean,
yeah.
okay. So
We can
I
group
the
them up.
only two things I have left would be number one. This one I need a little bit more just like discretionary. Is it discretionary income? What's the term for
Discreet.
anyway?
Wait, what are you trying
Just
to
like
say?
income I can spend like for random things.
Oh.
More excess.
Yeah, I guess there is a term for it, but
There is a term, yeah. I'm trying to think
Yeah.
of it.
but anyway, I want to build like my own.
You know, I actually tried to use that word before, and I also decided on just
Yeah.
excess. But if you remember before, I said excess. I was also looking for that exact word, but I don't remember what it is. Anyway, keep going.
Discretionary income? Disposable income.
It's
that's
very
what.
annoying that disposable.
Yeah. So
that's
I-
what it was. Disposable
Yeah,
income.
I need
There it
need
is.
some more disposable
Fun.
income. But basically, you can buy individual watch pieces from the movement that makes the watch go to the hands, to the dial, to the case, everything. And so I do want to build my own watch. And if I do it that way, I can
that's cool.
make one that's like super unique. And so yeah, I'd like to do that.
Yeah, that would be very cool,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah,
That'd be very.
you could be the watchmaker guy.
Yeah, I enjoy like I've actually gotten a decent amount of use out of your going away present, Harry, the watch kit you got me, because I've
nice.
I've had to resize watches quite often.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
and then
good.
the last thing would be, I think I told Greg about this a while back, but basically I want to go back. I want to start like I want to just do an alternate account for Genshin, and then I just want to like go through the whole story, but like record it and then like upload it, because I do enjoy the story, and I just want to like commentate over it, because like I just like, as I'm playing the game in general, I just end up roasting every interaction that happens anyway, and I figured it'd be fun to just upload that. So
Just do a let's play.
yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's cool.
I'll probably save yours for last. I'll just go through mine really quick.
Okay.
Really the current projects, because the 3D, like I said, 3D printing is kind of on hold with the future of getting that other material, but honestly, that's not a rush. Currently, I was trying to learn the flute. Greg, a while back, gave me an old flute, and I was trying to learn that. I probably got to like the point where I could play certain notes proficiently, and then I just put it away, and then got busy.
Yeah.
And by got busy, I also mean that I just stopped remembering about it every time I actually had free time.
Yeah.
I guess since there's also hobbies, there's ping pong.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
now it's like there's not as many people to play ping pong with. I actually played today and yesterday with my two coworkers. They're both named Taylor, and they're both in the commissioning team.
Taylor 1 and Taylor
I just dropped
2.
names. Am I allowed to do that? I don't know.
We'll censor it. No, first names I think is fine.
But yeah. But they are both really good at ping pong for some reason.
Ooh.
One's like the employee, the other one's the PM. The PM is like godly at ping pong for some reason, but like he doesn't play it like at all, like at home or like, and I don't know when he got good at it. Apparently he's just really good at tabletop games because they play pool and he just crushes pool as well. And so, like, I've taken a game off him before, but like today I just got I kept it close, but once like we traded games or points, but as soon as he got more than like 2 ahead of me, I just couldn't bring it back.
Yeah.
And there's actually a game I was actually match point, but then I blew the lead and he came back and won. That was annoying, but like he's just crazy good. Okay, there's that. I guess another hobby was airsoft stuff. I have a lot of. That was a phase of my life.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to talk about this, but
Yeah.
back then the limitation was money, because we were just like,
Yeah.
God, airsoft shit costs so much money.
It
And
still
we don't have
does
enough,
cost so much.
It does, and we don't have enough friends to like really get
Yeah.
like cool wars and stuff going.
Yeah,
So.
and we couldn't justify it just for us because
Right.
for our
Yeah, 'cause
use
they're
cases, it was for the film, and we're not about to drop probably like 10 times the amount of
hundreds
money.
of dollars. Yeah, just thought for a prop
I
in a
mean,
film. Yeah.
I really liked airsoft because it wasn't just for film; it was for like some just the fun shoot around stuff. And so I have a pistol and rifle and a pump action rifle, 2 gas pistol, the other 2 ones are gas.
I mean, they're cool to own. They look
are.
nice.
They're very fun. And eventually, I will go to a range and actually shoot a real gun, just because I am interested. And it's just one of those things. You're American. You might as well.
One of our food trips. If we go anywhere in the South, we definitely got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're all over. I think. I mean, you got to be 18. But I mean, we're all definitely old enough, and we have the money too, so we want to.
Right.
And I think I would want to say I'm a pretty good shot, so we gotta go prove that.
No, I'm not.
So
I wouldn't know, but probably not.
Yeah.
So
I think that's about it for current projects.
With your glasses, like the scope and the target is like right next to each other.
But the thing is, like, with a real gun, I don't know. Like with like airsoft gun, I feel like it's a little different.
So you know in the movies where like the people like shoot through the scope and like get the person's eye. So someone's gonna like if Greg was a sniper, they'd shoot at his scope, but because his glasses are so thick, it's not bulletproof.
It just lodges into my glasses.
Yeah, that'd be so funny. Well, realistically, the bullet wouldn't stop, but like that'd be really funny.
Yeah.
I mean, Greg had safety glasses stop like flying shards of what's it called, metal, and what's it called?
I mean, my glasses would probably
Blades.
stop an airsoft bullet, so
it would. And if you made it out of like safety glass material, like it would possibly stop more, because that stuff is interesting. I don't know exactly how it works, but I mean
it's like some of my favorite videos on YouTube. I literally have the tab open right now because I rewatch them like every like month. But are the Node Airsoft Trouble in Terrorist Town videos? Like they're so much fun to watch. It's just like so cool, like watching them shoot down range and just have like super fast reflexes, D specifically, just like the god reflexes and aim. And it's just like we've always wanted to go to an airsoft center with a large group of friends and do that sort of thing, but we don't have the large group of friends.
It's like one, you need the guns. So all my guns are was it I think 4mm metal BBs, and so if we were going to those ranges, it would be 6mm plastic BBs.
Right, yeah.
And those we would normally get is electric.
And it's like most people have gear too, because you don't just go wearing
the guns
fucking clothes.
Are expensive, and then the gear is like another couple $100s because the masks look cool, but those are so expensive.
Oh yeah, they're cool, but yeah.
And then that's actually one thing I tried to do a project back was I was thinking about printing body armor. So I was going to like design.
You'd have to create like so many like segments to
I was going to design each plate and then print out each plate and then like kind of bind it to some sort of fabric and then just layer fabric.
All right, I got you, Harry. Just make chainmail.
That's even
just print a million chain links out and then loop them together by hand.
They actually
the way
have.
They used to do it.
I've seen a 3D model or like a 3D print of chainmail. Like someone printed out chainmail.
Well, the thing is, the 3D print wouldn't be hard. Though, it's just the work of linking every single chain together.
When it's printing, it's linked together. And because like the connecting piece is so thin, you just like bend it and it snaps. It basically snaps all the connecting pieces off, and it's already pre-linked. Granted, though, it's thin plastic, so I don't know how effective it would be as actual chainmail. And the thicker you go, the more clanky it would be instead of just build it like I was going to do, print out plates. Because I did some experimenting, and I think I only need to print out like I think it was like 4mm thick plates, and it stopped the metal BBs. Either 4 or 5mm, and I was gonna do I would do like a chest piece, arms, and then like a stomach.
Man, if you made an armor suit, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, I was planning on doing that, but then
that is a big project.
Yeah, then I think I stopped.
So much time it would take
of work or something else, but I was doing some test runs on that. I actually totally forgot about that. Maybe I'll start picking that up again.
Yeah. I mean, that could be so cool. Imagine just in your house, you just have like an armor stands with just like armor on it. Like, how cool would that be?
Oh yeah, that would be so
super geeky, but very cool.
It would be so cool. So that's like all present projects, I would say. Now, future ones, I only have 2 main ones. I guess a couple. In addition to the other ones, I have like 2 main ones. One's the project car. I told myself when we got back from Vancouver, I would buy the Mark III Supras I was looking at. or one of them, if they were still available. Came back, they were
I
gone.
remember
Not
this.
available.
Yeah. Go figure. There's one that I originally looked at that's still there. It's 3,200 in South Carolina, and it doesn't run. But the biggest issue for me is it doesn't run, and I don't want to get a tow truck.
Yeah.
Because I know if I get a tow truck, it has to drop it in front of my house because my house is on a hill and we have a driveway. They can't back up the hill without scraping the fuck out of the driveway. So if I want to get it in my garage, I have to get like a hitch or some shit and then hook that up to probably the cross beam in my garage and then pull up the car. And I'm like, that's just a lot more work than I feel like I want to do. So I've been just either waiting or looking around. I've actually found a couple Del Sols that are reasonable price, but the thing is Del Sols are kind of always expensive because they're a less common car you see. And like by reasonable I mean like they're like $4,000 or $5,000. Granted, some it's a over 20-year-old car that's still selling for like $4,000 or $5,000. The higher version of that is the S2000, but those are like $20,000 cars. Which is, for the age is ridiculous, but because they're so rare and, people love them. Yeah, they're so, the what's it called? The rarity makes them special. And so I've been like surfing around to see, rotating between, it's the Honda Del Sol, Mark III Supra, Honda Beat, which is like a smaller than Miata car. It's a really cute little roadster. It doesn't make a lot of power, but because it's so small and light, I've all the like things I've heard about it is it's so much fun to drive. So I was like, if I can find one, it'd be cool. But they were only produced in the 90s or sold in the US in the 90s, and there's barely any of them around like that. But it's, I don't think anyone's heard of a Honda Beat before, so I think that shows that how little they are. And then the last thing is I'm probably going to make a portable PC just because I can.
Yeah, there it is.
Because I have a spare CPU, and like I was like I kind of gotta use that for something, or because I bought it when I was going to make Summer's PC, totally forgetting I had an extra CPU already that I could use for a computer. And the thing is, I thought about it. It was late at night when I was ordering all the parts, and I should have done it the next morning. Because the next morning I woke up, I was like, all right, I bought blah, 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 blah. I was like, CPU. And I was like, why did I buy a CPU? I already have a CPU. And then I was like, fuck. I tried to cancel it, but because I bested off of, not bested, Bista. I bought it off of Best Buy. No, I bought it off of GameStop. Fuck. On a really cheap sale. I tried to cancel it, but because it's shipped, they're like, okay, the only way you can, you can either deny the delivery, so it'll be shipped back to the warehouse where you get a refund, or you can just return it to a store. And I was like, I'll just, I wasn't there when they delivered, so I was like, I'll return it to a store. I read in the fine print on the thing, it's like, you cannot return this in a store. And I was like, the customer service person said I could. So I'm a little iffy about this. I go to a store and they're like, yeah, no, we can't take this. It was like above a certain value of items, they're not allowed to take it in returns in store for some reason. And so, yeah, you're going to have to have to mail it back to the warehouse or whatever. And I'm like, that seems like a lot of work for just this. And I was like, honestly, it's a spare CPU. It's not a bad CPU. I could use it for something later, just for fun.
This is such a hairy way.
Granted, I could actually. Okay.
I
probably actually could use it for Scarlet.
Extra CPU lying around.
Well, I just like having extra computer parts.
I mean, you could just like bring it to my house so we can LAN party.
Oh my god!
I have extra monitors.
Like, I was thinking about building like an ITX computer where it was like a really compact, really small, and so it's like you could basically slide in a backpack.
Yeah,
and so I was
just
like,
bring it around,
carry it around because I was like, I don't want to buy a gaming laptop.
Oh yeah, no, they're so expensive.
Don't want the cost, and then also if you want them, if you want them nice, they cost a whole
I used
lot,
to use a gaming laptop too.
They kind of thick.
Oh my,
yeah,
they kind of big, chunky.
Yeah,
and like
they
not,
output
like,
so much sound.
Yeah, they're not as appealing, and I'm like, I could probably get. I already have the CPU. I'll get like a smaller GPU, and I'm like, I've always wanted to build an ITX computer, so I was like, hey, I could just go ahead and do that. So I probably will start parting that out. And we'll see in the near future how soon I build that. But that's like probably all the projects I have laid out for myself currently.
You talking about this just reminded me that the KFC console thing was a thing. So I just wanted to look it up and just look at it again, and it is very funny. Just the concept that the cooling system also keeps the chicken hot is very interesting.
I mean, I was like, it works, but I was like, is that really sanitary?
I don't know.
Because
it's a real thing, so
yeah, I'm just like, you probably want to make sure there's some good ass filters.
to
Between
make
the air,
because I feel like you'd be blowing some dust on that chicken.
Because I mean, if you look in your computer,
it's nasty.
Within a year,
yeah.
There's a lot of shit.
Bad.
Like, I mean,
bad.
Especially if you own pets. There's
I
mean, if you keep your computer on the floor and you own
dust,
pets,
right,
the dust and the hair. Oh, it's wild.
You don't like a little dust and hair on your chicken? It's extra seasoning.
Extra Greg, what now?
My live and future projects are mostly stuff I've mentioned, so I don't really need to go super in depth with it. But there's the TTRPG I've been working on for like the last like 2 or 3 years, but it's not like 2 or 3 years straight. It's just like off and on in those 2 or 3 years. But I think the last like 5-ish months have been the most productive for it. That's been most of the work that I've put into it. So, there's quite a lot there, but technically there's still quite a lot that needs to get done. So I'm still working on that. But we are reaching a stage where testing is starting to become actually viable now. Because the first time we did a test, I didn't even really want to, because it was just like so bare bones and there was like no power system, but we just decided to do it anyway. But it was like that was just like the most basic of basic tests. But now we'll actually have a test with like the full mechanics and assets and stuff. So that should be pretty soon that we can do that. There's the cooking channel that I want to start with just like it's just a way for me to preserve my mom's recipes and stuff, because she's a great cook. So and there's a lot of things that she makes that I also want to know how to make, so I think that's going to be a good opportunity. So the biggest obstacle to that is that she is refusing to not do vegan recipes, because she cooks really good non-vegan recipes, but she doesn't want to put that on her channel. And I was like, please, I want to know how to make your fried chicken. It's so good.
But she's like, I only will. Oh, wow. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, I'll convince her eventually in one way or another. Yeah. It might have to be like me heading the channel, but just with her recipes. But one way or another, I'll get those recipes out because they're so good.
Sounds like a threat.
What is the peanut butter sauce recipe?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that recipe has the. I don't even know if she wants to reveal that, because that's her secret sauce. Like that's her most proud. Like,
could she send it to me at least?
You have to sign it.
It is insane. Like, that sauce is so good.
Shit, I'll sign my left ball away.
Whoa. And then, so of course there's the music for season 2. I already have some ideas for that, and I think it'll be pretty cool if I can get it done. But they are fairly ambitious, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so I probably pretty soon I'm going to start working on the season 2 intro and outro for the podcast, so that should be fun.
Nice.
I also just have like a rotating scrapyard of pieces in my FL Studio where it's like I have ideas and then I write them down and then I'm like, and then I just stop because I lose motivation for it. So I literally have several projects in my files that are named like Scrap 1, Scrap 2, Scrap 3, because it's like I used to take the time to be like, what would be a good name for this piece, and then come up with the name. Nowadays, I'm just like, I have so many ideas, I'm just going to name them Scrap 1, Scrap 2. And it's like, I don't know which ones they are, but I go into them every now and then. I'm like, oh yeah, this is this one. And then if I ever get motivated to that's like what my strategy is these days, is what I found for me is like I just can't really maintain motivation on something if there isn't some sort of force that's driving me forwards. Like usually that force is success. Like if I do something and it works and it's super cool, then that motivates me to go further. But if I do something and it doesn't work, that like completely kills my motivation to do something. Which is not great, but I've gotten a little bit better at it, but mostly I've just developed a system where I have so many projects that like if I give up on one, then I can just do another one. So there's just a high chance of procking motivation on one of my many projects is basically how I just exist now. I just surround myself in things that I'm interested in, and then I'm not motivated on most of them, but every now and then I'll gain an inkling of motivation, and then for one of the projects, and then dive into that thing, and then hope that the success happens so that I can keep going. Yeah, so those are my current projects right now. The prospective projects that I want to do, I also kind of want to do a YouTube channel. I've had this idea for a really long time, and I don't know when to pull the trigger on it, but I've had this idea that I want to do like a music channel. It's actually pretty popular now. There's quite a few music channels nowadays. And I wanted to do one where I basically, and this is just one of the ideas I would do for my channel. It would mostly just be like fun music related stuff. But this idea that I've had for a long time is to recreate like movie themes just from my head, like not like actually listening to them, but just to see how close I can get to what the theme actually is supposed to sound like, just purely based on my memory of what that piece is supposed to sound like. That would be either
really which I think impressive or really funny.
I think some of them would be really bad, and then some of them, I think some of the ones that I'm a little bit more like I know those themes really well. I think I could do a pretty decent job, but some of them would definitely be really like I would get the melodies right, but the instrumentation and the accompaniment and all that would be such a different style. If you gave me a day and
sufficient motivation, I reckon I could do Imperial March, but anything else, I don't know.
I mean, that was one of the ones I was gonna do. I mean, especially now that I actually have heard the song enough times to know what it sounds like. But anyway, so yeah, so I thought that'd be a fun thing to do. The biggest limitation of that is just creating MIDI orchestra stuff is difficult, just because there's only probably Harry will be the only one who gets this, but articulations, there's like a very certain set of articulations you can do, and then many you just cannot do at all. So spiccato is great. Spiccato, when it comes to MIDI, is like perfect. It's so easy to do spiccato and make it sound good. Legato can sound good. It takes a lot of workshopping and adjusting the sound, but you can kind of get legato to work, and that's basically it. You can't do marcato, you can't do martele, you can't do combinations of bow strokes very well. Like you can't go like ba ya ba ba ya ba ba. You can't really do that. You can go like ba bum 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 bum, but that's a very different feeling than like the lift off of like a legato. Basically, it's just hard to get complex bow strokes, and basically impossible to do that in a way that sounds natural, which is a limitation for composing. And if I was going to do this, that would be a big limitation for that. But I do want to do that eventually, because it's always been an idea that I think would be fun to do, and I think it's pretty unique as a challenge. So. And then some other perspective projects I mentioned. I want to do more skits. So one day we'll get to that. I'll write out a script for us to do, and then it's like for a while my whole thing was like, because of the limitations of the amount of people and gear that we have, we were going to like shift away from combat and just focus on more plot driven skits. But I think recently I've realized just like fuck that, like let's just do combat skits, and if they suck they suck, because they're fun. So and plus I think we have a few more sort of things that we can do to make them better. But the main thing is we need a third person. Like I don't think we can do that with 2 people, but if we can get 3 people, I think we can make something pretty cool. I don't know where we're gonna find this third person now that Adash is gone, but
yeah, Banana's not even around that often.
Yeah, but if we can somehow find a third person
in this this semester.
Do you think Banana could pull off fight choreo though? No offense, but because it's like, for it to work, there has to be some level.
This will
of
be
contact,
hilarious because like about half a year down the line, she'll finally get to this podcast, and then you're just gonna get a message going, "Fuck you, Greg."
Yeah, we're gonna have no idea what she's talking about, and she's just gonna come up and be like,
"What you fucking say?" Dickhead. So it's like, you're right, but what did we do this time?
She's like, "You don't remember episode 17 of season 1?" And we're like, "What?"
We'll be on season 3.
So there's that. There's the book that I got like pretty far in. I'm pretty proud of how far I got in there, because that was like, I wrote like almost, I think it was 200 pages of like full size. So I think if it was translated into normal pages, like that's easily like 400 to 500 pages, I think. So I wrote like a lot for that. And then it's just like, I got to a point where I just didn't know where to go from there. And I also felt a lot of regrets about how I had paced the everything before that. So that kind of killed my motivation for that. So I don't know if I would necessarily continue that book, just because there were so many flaws with it that it's hard for me to continue without being like, oh, but the beginning, but I might start a new one at some point. And now that I know that I can actually do that, I think would want to try doing that, because I love writing, as I think people who know me know. Like I anytime I get to like write shit, I just go off. So writing could easily be the path I took if I wasn't as like delved into music as I was in my life. I think writing would probably be where I would have went, because it's just like writing is such, I read so much and I love writing too. So and then the last thing is actually similar to Harry was talking about the flute. For me, that's the drums and the electric guitar, because I have both of them like literally in my room, and it's like I did learn a little bit of both, but it's not enough to like actually do anything cool yet. So I do want to continue doing that, but it's like Harry said, it's like learning an instrument is just such a like what do you call it, a commitment.
Yeah,
like, it takes so much time and consistent practice.
You have to do it almost like, about every day or consistently.
You can't be inconsistent. Like all the other projects I'm doing, I can like take a pause for a week if I'm not feeling it and come back and pick it up pretty easily. But like instruments, you can't do that if you want to become actually proficient. Like you have to be consistent.
Yeah, that was the issue. Is like I went in after fucking what's it called? Like I would play. Well, I was consistent. I did once a day for like 3-4 days.
Yeah.
And then I took a break for like 2 days, and then I came back to it, and I was like, oh, everything's gone.
Yeah,
yeah. And I mean, that was fuck.
That was basically like I learned. I'm like I can do the really basic chords on guitar, and I spent like a week just constantly practicing and developing the calluses. So it's like my muscle memory for that is pretty solid, but it's like that's all I can do on the guitar, just like really basic first position chords. Like, I do want to learn how to actually play electric guitar. Because I do want to use it more in my compositions.
The Fire and the Flames, Greg, personally.
Okay, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to that level, but I do just want to be able to play things that I'm able to think of, because I use electric guitar quite a bit in my compositions, and I have one of those MIDI ones, and it just sounds not real and cool. So it's like I really want, and it's like if I have like a really good project, I can always just hire people on Fiverr.
During karaoke,
I do want to actually
put through the Fire and the Flames. And it started not too bad, and then the guitar hit, and they were like, oh god.
We were just like, bro, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah. But yeah, so those are most of my current and future
the YouTube one I'm really into. I would watch that.
Yeah, we will, what's it called, look into your future with great interest.
We will watch your career with great interest.
Yeah. Yeah, I might start that relatively soon, because I think I'm at the level of understanding how to use the orchestra stuff enough to make it work to a point where it sounds okay. It's not going to be great. Like, it's not going to be any like fucking Daniel Kim shit. Like, it's going to be like okay. He's a YouTube dude who just creates orchestral arrangements for basically everything that exists. And he also, like, for movies and stuff that haven't released their soundtrack yet, he just recreates them and makes them like super epic. But yeah. So yeah, I think that would be fun. It's just like content creation with music production is always hard. I mean, people have already made it like work. Like, there's quite a few music YouTubers who do music production who have made it work really well. So I might just copy their style. But before them, it was hard, because any music person who like wanted to do content creation just like recorded FL Studio or one of their DAWs, and it just looks so bad. Like, it's just like looking at like a DAW, and like nobody wants to stare at an editing program when like you're watching content. But the people who do music production content creation on YouTube, it's mostly just face cam. They just record their face and then like just dialogue, and then they flash to the production program just for context, but usually it's just the cameras on them, which I think works better for content creation. So, but I have all the tools for it. I just need to do it. It's gonna be a lot of editing too, unfortunately, but I think it could be fun. All right. Do you want to say anything to wrap this up, Harry?
I thought it was pretty great. We actually talked a lot more.
We talked a lot, yeah.
This is one of our longer ones.
In terms of notes, like, this is one of the episodes I took the least notes on, but it ended up being like really long.
The stories were extensive.
We just have so many stories
of the past.
Yeah. And our syllables per second was pretty high during the second half of this podcast too. So if we had talked slower, this would have been even longer.
Yeah.
Actually, if we hadn't, if this podcast hadn't taught us how to cut down our short story times, this would have been like a 4-hour podcast.
Oh my god, we wouldn't have been able to do this in one podcast. We'd have to split it.
It's pretty crazy, actually. All the stuff we've done and the things we've gone through. It's been pretty wild. And we don't have the most things to do in the future, but we've like taken the things that we've kind of done in the past, refined it, and now we're going to retry it essentially.
Well, you guys have. I just haven't done anything in the past.
All our skills.
Yeah, Adash is starting his little project. His project.
All our skills have come together to create hentai with God, and it's beautiful.
Oh yeah. Play
it here.
That, fire, by the way. Fire. Top charts? What is it? The stream?
Yeah, it was in the top 10 charts on iTunes.
Yeah. No. We made
it really is too bad the timing of when I became friends with Adash, because it's like when we were younger we just had so much free time to just do shit. It's like now it's like getting together to do projects like that is so much harder to coordinate.
Just like
it is a
just
little
like we were trying to figure out when all of us could get together to watch the vlog, and I was like Friday, and it's like
it's so hard.
Work for me.
Everyone
so,
has
Thursday,
something.
And I'm like, actually, I'm busy Thursday. God damn it.
Tomorrow,
right.
Hopefully,
tomorrow.
I should be free. However, I do have a assignment due tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
That it's a group project. However, only 2 of us have been working on it.
I mean, the vlog is only 20 minutes, so if we could just like set aside just a little bit of time to quickly watch it.
I think, I would just be like, I gotta go eat lunch or something. I already expressed, like, it's not finished, but we were both in agreement. It's like, I'm not going to stress about every extra percent we can get. Whatever we have is what we have, and we'll submit it, because we've already got a majority of it done. It's just one little last section of it, and it's like, if we can't, complete it whole way, we don't fucking care. Maybe that'll bite us in the ass later when we get our final grades back, and it's not as what we want it to be, but we'll cross that bridge when it gets there.
We didn't talk about it, but I do want to say, like, besides Hentai with God, this podcast is the one project that we all are cooperating on, and like we have been very consistent,
and it's getting better. My mic, if a long time
I think we're improving.
Oh
yeah, we didn't even mention that. Dash's mic is better.
You hopefully can tell in the audio.
God, I hope so.
I'll probably be listening to it like, holy shit, so crispy. Or I'll be like, holy shit, I can hear even more movement now.
That's also possible. We'll see.
You'll hear some of Adash's classic like pre-laugh warm-ups.
Bro, it's haunting. It's haunting. Because it's like, I'll be like, I don't remember hearing this in Discord, but like I hear it in the recording. I'm just like, yo, this man's a demon.
we do gotta analyze our laughs one day, because I feel like my laugh has gone through so many evolutions. Like, I don't know, Harry, if you remember but my laugh is not at all what it used to be. Like, it's not even close to what it used to be. Like, I very remember distinctly where my laugh started to change and why, but that's a topic for another day. Yeah, okay, great. There was one other thing I was going to mention too.
I forgot. We got to wrap this up. I didn't get ready to go to sleep.
We do, but fuck, what was it? Okay, whatever. There was something else I was going to mention that was relevant, but whatever. As always, thank you so much for dropping in and listening to us ramble. You can find us on youtube.com/@thederailledpodcast. That's youtube.com/@thederailledpodcast with a new episode every Tuesday. Hit the subscribe button if you want to catch our future episodes, and hit the like button if you liked this episode. This has been Derailed, and we will see you next time. I do want to mention real quick that my script for this part, I don't have anything for the like thing, so I've basically just had to make that up every single time. And I always feel so awkward. I always feel so awkward saying it, because I never know what to say. Because like my script says, and nudge that like button in the upwards direction, because I think I said that on like a way previous podcast, and I never changed it. So every time I get to that, I'm like, fuck, what do I say? Like it.
Slap it, noggin, headache.
Yeah, someone remind me to actually change that to something default.
Hey Greg, change it to something.
Thanks, Harry.
You can always rely on person.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.